English by the Nature Method, Chapter 40, the 40th chapter, The Departure. The next few days, Storm woke up every morning expecting a telephone call from Mr. Edwards, and at last, when Storm had almost given up hope, Mr. Edwards called him on the telephone. "Hello, this is Edwards speaking. Is Mr. Storm there?" "Just a minute, Mr. Edwards, and I will call him to the telephone," replied Brown, who had answered the telephone. Storm came to the telephone and was told some very good news. His manager had thought it was a good idea and was very pleased that one of his young men should have this chance of studying English business methods. It would be very useful for the firm to have a man whose knowledge of English was good and who also had some knowledge of the English method of doing business. During the last 2 or 3 days they were in London. They were very busy, because there was not much time before their departure, and there were so many things they wanted to see before they left. On the very last day they went out to buy some small presents for their relations and friends at home. Wood had promised his sister to bring something nice home for her. He had not forgotten his promise, but as he was not used to buying presents for young ladies, the other 3 went along with him to help him. They knew Selfridge's, where they had bought sticks, handkerchiefs, and cigarettes, so they went there again. In the part of the shop where women's things are sold, they looked at all sorts of articles, but could not decide what to buy. At last they asked one of the young ladies to help them. She first asked what sort of things the young lady would be interested in. "Oh, something to wear, I should think," said Wood. "What size clothes does she take?" Wood had no idea of the size of his sister's clothes. "Well, perhaps you can tell me whether the young lady is big or small, then," said the saleswoman. "She's neither big nor small. She's just like most other girls." That did not help very much to give the saleswoman an idea of Miss Wood's size. So she said, "I don't think that you should buy clothes for her, if you don't know the size. She wouldn't be pleased if you bought something which was either too small or too big for her, because then she would not be able to wear it. But we have many other things, handbags, for example. We have some very fine leather bags here." "What sort of leather is this?" Wood asked when he was shown the bags. "It's goatskin," the saleswoman answered. "The bags cost only 40 shillings apiece." "That's quite cheap," Wood said to the others. "At home we shouldn't be able to get bags of goatskin as cheap as that. Goatskin is a very fine sort of leather, and is usually very expensive. I once bought a bag for an aunt or some other relation at home, and that was much more expensive. Bags of this sort would cost at least 60 shillings apiece. I think I'll take one of them." The hour of their departure from England had arrived. The other 3 were sorry to take leave of Storm, for they had had such a lovely time together. Wood said that he was jealous of his friend. "I wish I was the one to stay over here for another 6 months," he said. "You seem to be getting all the fun. First your firm pays you your fare to England, and the ticket from our hometown to London is not cheap, and now they let you stay here for another 6 months. I wish I worked for a firm that would have paid my fare. Then I should not have had to think of the ticket." But Storm knew that his friend was not really jealous of him, but only pleased that this chance should have been offered him. Storm went with them to the station to wish them a pleasant trip back. On the way they spoke of all the things they had seen and of the places they had not yet been to. "You know," said Mr. Miller, "there are many people who think that when they have seen the capital of a country, they have seen everything the country has to show them. We have visited London, the capital of England, but we must not think that this is the whole of England. There are many other large cities of great importance in England, such as Birmingham, Sheffield, Manchester, and Newcastle. All these towns are very important and would be very interesting to visit. You all know why they are of such a great importance. Birmingham and Sheffield are famous for the metal articles," said Wood. We have some knives at home made of Sheffield steel. Made of Sheffield steel. Yes, said Mr. Miller. Steel is a very hard metal, and the best knives are always made of steel. The best trains, machines, bicycles, steamers, etc. are made of steel. Sometimes, however, it would be too expensive to use steel to make these things, so iron is used instead. Steel is really iron, but iron that has been made very hard. That is the reason why steel is more expensive. In nearly all English houses there are fireplaces. In the winter it's very comfortable to sit in front of the fire. The English nearly always use coal for their fires. Usually they have had more than enough coal for their own houses, trains, steamers, etc., so that they have been able to export coal to other countries. Newcastle is a very important coal town, from which much coal has been exported to foreign countries. Newcastle, however, is also a very important town for the building of ships. Manchester, as you will all remember, is famous for its cotton articles, and many things made of cotton are exported to the whole world. In our shops at home it's also possible to buy cotton articles made in Manchester. You will all understand then that there is much more to be seen in England, but we have been busy every second of our visit, and I think it's the hope of all of us to be able to return to England some other time. Now I see that it's time for the train to start, so we shall have to say goodbye to Storm. They shouted together, "Goodbye, Storm!" Storm, "Goodbye! A pleasant trip, and remember me to your families at home." Storm waved to his friends as long as he could see them. Then he left the station with mixed feelings. He was sorry that his friends had gone, and yet at the same time he was very happy to be able to stay on for some time in England. He returned slowly to the hotel, thinking of his friends and of his relations at home.